SEKUD SKUY, let's go. Everyone, welcome to the first episode of SKUY by SEKUD Labs, a monthly podcast which explores different perspectives on music, art, and blockchain. This is Lexian, and here is my partner Imam Kiko as your hosts for today. If you follow SEKUD Beat or SEKUD Labs, you may notice that we used to have a weekly podcast called SEKUD Beat SKUY. So this is essentially the rebranding of it, but the core is still the same. And today, in our first episode, we have a key leading figure of an exciting new NFT music platform, NOIZD, Jason Rieff. Welcome, Jay. Glad to see you here.
Yeah, thank you guys for thank you for having me. Should be an exciting chat today. Looking forward to it. I guess you guys have been kind of in the NOIZD kind of group from the beginning, so I thought
Yes.
it was a podcast that I had to do. So let's take it away.
Okay, thank you. And by the way, congratulations for your upcoming launch of NOIZD.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I hope you guys are. Yeah, I hope it's pretty much everything that you guys have been waiting for. I mean, it's still the kind of MVP launch, so we're missing a bunch of features, but should still be good. Got a bunch of good artists that we've curated for the launch. And
Okay, crossing our fingers on the upcoming launch. And before we begin, maybe if there will be live audience here that will go into this channel, we always remind our live audience on Discord to mute the speakers until the Q&A session, and the Q&A session can be done by asking questions right away or just put the questions on the PDC lobby SKUY. So, okay. First of all, Jay, before we dive into NOIZD and the NFT music, can you tell us a little bit about how you first find blockchain technology and NFT, and how did it leads to the conception of NOIZD?
So I guess I've been involved in different extents in the blockchain space since about 2016 or so. So I like to answer the later question of how I kind of went about starting NOIZD and kind of how I got involved in that is I've also been involved in the music kind of industry for a bit. My background's actually in marketing and advertising, and I've had a pretty extensive background there. I started off as an art director, then a copywriter, then a digital strategist, and then kind of like I got into social media in 2008 when it was still a very new kind of space, and I ended up helping a blockchain / crypto company do their kind of global social strategy. So that's called Icon Project. They had a coin called ICX. They're actually still running, and so that's when I kind of got involved in the blockchain space, but was very much from like a marketing side. And then I guess subsequently remained doing kind of very interested within the blockchain space and the crypto space. I guess primarily in the crypto itself space, and then I guess NFTs that came about with like my first contact was with CryptoKitties in 2017, and I thought it was pretty interesting take on kind of, I guess, like kind of fun mainstream yet passive investments in a like strange way. I didn't really get it though, and then so I guess I kind of like remained involved in blockchain after the whole crypto crash. And then when NFTs really started to pick up, I became more interested last year in 2020. And then this year, really like the big boom. And I guess basically digital art didn't really kind of connect with me. Although it's cool, I saw it as like a very base use case for NFT technology. And it didn't really connect with me. And I thought like, what is something cool that has a lot of like mimetic value to multiple cultures that you could kind of use an NFT marketplace and NFT tech to really kind of tap into. And so I looked at my music industry experience, so a bit about that. So I have another kind of startup that I started in 2015. It's a digital distribution channel for musicians throughout Africa. I did a bunch of stuff at MTV Africa. I was a consultant and advisor for them, and with a bunch of music channels like Trace and whatever. And so yeah, I looked at the NFT space, and I just kind of thought that you could really use that to move into something that's more kind of, I guess, apparent to the mainstream market as opposed to digital art. So I thought it would be really cool to pair like the music industry with the NFT industry. And then I got to the idea of why not help artists that have a big problem in general, basically value themselves. So like musicians can value themselves without record labels saying what they're worth. And I thought, well, you could allow the artist to basically throw away the middleman, so that's record labels or streaming platforms, and basically value themselves by going directly to the consumer and saying, I feel I'm worth this, so I will sell my music unreleased to you with the rights that go with it. And I'm basically valuing myself by doing that. And if you believe in my sound or whatever, you'll purchase that because you believe that I am good enough to basically be famous one day. And the more famous I get, the more value that my unreleased song that you own the rights to basically accrues and grows. So yeah, that's a very quick kind of background of how I guess I came into contact with the blockchain space and then the NFT space, and then kind of brought that into NOIZD.
Yep, it's very interesting because you also touches there earlier about the benefits of the NFT, some kind of the changes that the NFT can get around in the music industry. But maybe if our audiences don't understand, NFT stands for non-fungible token. It is basically a blockchain technology which lets you have the certificate of authenticity for your art, for your music, and for everything that is in the blockchain. So in your perspective, Jay, what do you think are the benefits of the NFT to the music artists that they may not get in the conventional music industry system?
So I think that there's multiple benefits. I think that there's two kind of, or maybe three particular use cases out right now, and each use case kind of has its own benefit. So on the one side, you have the general kind of streaming benefits. So you have platforms like Audius that are using smart contracts and NFTs to basically pay out royalties directly and instantly. So the background to that being is that Spotify and those sort of platforms, a musician doesn't get much royalties from that, but also it takes a really long time, right? So if you're a stream on Spotify, you get paid, I think, like yearly or something like that. Whereas if it's an NFT using a smart contract, it allows a streaming platform like Audius to identify the owner of that song and then instantly pay them out after every stream. So the smart contract closes and pays them out. So that's kind of a really cool use case in NFTs and how that can benefit the music industry with regards to paying out artist royalties instantly. And then the other use case is on the collectible side, where it's basically allowing someone to own a piece of a musician without the musician kind of losing anything, right? So it's like, as opposed to a record label who would come to you and say, okay, well, you sound really cool and I'll give you $50,000 and you need to give me 5 albums and I own those albums. It's more along the lines of, I can now value myself and you can basically collect a part of me, right? So that's on the one side. And then on the other side, what NOIZD is doing is we're also kind of looking at the whole rights management and rights transferability, which once again goes into what I said with regards to musicians being able to really fairly price themselves, but also bypass like middlemen, and at the same time also kind of gets help in marketing, so to say. So for example, if you own my NFT and you own the rights to it, it makes sense for you to try and make me as famous as possible. So the more famous I am, the more valuable my music is, right? To you. So that's kind of there's multiple use cases from general smart contract streaming through to basic collectibles through to kind of rights transferability, and all of these things basically help the artist free themselves up from the general industry, because the general industry is a really kind of restrictive place, and like total artist freedom is something that's really cool, and that kind of taps into like the inherent beliefs of the general blockchain space, which is decentralization, right? So you can kind of view the music industry as being like the central kind of force that controls everything, whereas using NFT technology, using blockchain, kind of integrating, if a musician integrates into these communities, they're pretty much moving into a decentralized world where they own themselves. Yeah, so those are how I see kind of the benefits for musicians.
So there's a thing like in NFT space, people foresee like we share our art to make increase in values, like so the artists increase in value. So one fans buy our NFT and then hope they shilling their collection, which is the artist NFT, to hope to build the hype, like a free marketing, like you said, right? So there's a thing like this is like a lot of local musician in Indonesia that debating all about like but how to reach the NFT things, since like this is it's not about the new stuff, but a lot of Indonesian thing like, if if the music not easily approached in mainstream, like like Spotify, YouTube, and then the copyright and in same time the protection in it fully pledged in a platform like that. So they think their song is not safe, or high risk to flipping or maybe plagiarism or sort of, and in sometimes maybe the listener might be not so much. So how Noise can tackle this? So hope the audience can understand. Yeah.
Okay, so just so I kind of understand the question, it's kind of like how can we kind of secure the music from like plagiarism and stuff like that, or?
And the first one is that, and the second one is
to get,
we as an artist sometimes get the dilemma between having to be heard by a million people and having to generate income from your music. Yeah, because music artists are often forced to choose between getting mass popularity or having 100% freedom of your income. And we are ingrained in our minds with the current music industry system that we may not be able to achieve both. So
so like I think that you got to kind of dive deeper into what the problems of musicians really are, even if they don't know that those are problems for themselves. So a lot of musicians, for example, are always thinking about, yeah, but I want to own the rights to my song. I want to own the rights to my song. I want to own the rights to my song. And which is cool. But at the same time, if you're a musician, it's very easy for you to make a song at any stage, right? Like you can pump out songs day after day after day. And so on the one side, why own the rights to one song when you're able to basically sell that song to make some money for yourself and then just make another song, right? So that's on the one side, because it's really easy for musicians to make cool music day after day after day, right? And on the other side, you're looking at like the whole idea of fame and, like what is fame and what's the purpose of fame. And once again, that's about making money, right? So at the end of the day, it's like, okay, well, you need to make money. And if you're selling NFTs, people think you're good, right? So that kind of means you are kind of famous because people are actively buying your stuff, right? So they think you're good. And the more like if I buy like 3 of your tracks and someone sees I bought 3 of your tracks, that person will want to listen and see, well, why did Jason buy those 3 tracks, right? And then if that other person buys, and other people will want to listen, and so on and so forth. So then you're making money, and at the same time, more and more people are listening to you. I think that what the problem that comes into play. So my family's from Zimbabwe. I've got a lot of friends from Congo. I've got I'm from South Africa, and what generally happens there is we have like these amazing musicians, right? And then you have these big labels, and they'll come and they'll see, okay, there's a lot of really poor people, but they sound really cool. So I'm going to say, here's $10,000, and now you need to give me 5 albums, right? And I'm going to take 98% of every album. And the person that's getting this deal, they're thinking, wow, that's incredible. I'm going to get $10,000 and change my life, right? And after the first album, they realize that they really got screwed. And so when it comes to like selling your rights and stuff like that, there's a very big difference between selling your rights to a label for a bullshit, excuse my language, for a garbage amount of money, and selling your rights for what you decide that you are worth to an actual investor or a buyer. So I think that that's kind of where NOIZD basically comes into play. It's when you look at those two kind of ideas behind a musician only wanting to either make money or only wanting to be famous, when in reality those are the same things. And NOIZD basically comes into play by allowing the musician to say what they are worth instead of a record label telling them what they're worth. So I think that that's like on the one side, and I think that kind of is pretty much one of the main beauties about NOIZD and kind of how that works in essence. Yeah.
Nice insights. And regarding also about the music industry, especially the streaming platform and how people consume music from the streaming platform, a lot of people seem to still try to support their favorite artists by streaming the music on streaming platforms. But at the same times, we have numerous widely available reports and coverages about how artists only get a very, very small fraction of profit from streaming platforms, just as you said. And we can see some dissonance here, right? Despite all the widely available informations and also some, evidences from the artists themselves. What do you think causes this, and how can we change this?
So are you asking what what causes the?
So basically, a lot of musicians that coming to the label, they have like a contract signed, and then they only see the main capital gain of their music in the contract, like, oh, it's $10 million, it's big, and then at the end, when the contract is executed, and then the songs gone viral at sort of, and then they only got like a few percentage of the $10 million contract in there. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of rapper in US also like complaining about this, like 6ix9ine, and then Lil Peep also talk about this, like the contract, the contract signed in the label kind of delusional, or just not a real money in there.
But despite the artists publicly complaining about that, the public, their listeners keep trying to, a lot of people still trying to support their favorite artist by, streaming through, Spotify and something, right? So so opinion, what is the reason about behind that? Is it because
Karen? So like the reasoning behind like the artist being taken advantage of?
The dissonance, we have the dissonance, right? between people know there are publicly available information about how the music industry essentially sucks artists off, but at the same time they keep like streaming to
Yeah.
Spotify and something like that.
So yeah, so I guess like people do everything that they can to, I guess, kind of like help an artist, but at the same time they kind of like need to kind of establish what does helping a particular artist actually mean. And are you so like if you decide as a person, okay, I want to like help my favorite artist, what are you actually helping them with? If you're wanting to help them make money, then probably go buy their music on Bandcamp, right? If you're wanting to help them get streams, then probably listen to their music on like Spotify or watch their videos on YouTube. I guess it's up to you as the listener or fan to understand that streaming platforms aren't going to pay the musician anything. I mean, unless they're on like Audius or Rocky or one of those. And nor is really YouTube unless they're getting like stupid amounts of views. But if you really want to kind of monetary-wise support an artist, then probably go buy their tracks on Bandcamp, or now that we're moving into a space like NOIZD or NFTs, buy their NFTs, right? Then you actually own a part of that artist because you really believe in that artist, which is why you bought it. But at the same time, it allows you to kind of like truly support that artist. So I think that there's on the one side, like the industry really takes advantage of artists. I mean, just to throw out like a bit of figures, for 100 million streams on Spotify, you're only getting between $30,000 and $140,000, which isn't too much. So I think that it's up to you as the fan or the follower to really understand kind of the intricacies and choose as like. For yourself, being a fan, choose what supporting means to you, and then do that, I guess.
Nice. And speaking of which, you keep mentioning about the way NOIZD is going to change how the music industry works, right? So maybe you can you provide us a glimpse of the summary of how NOIZD is going to be beneficial for the creators and also for the listeners, especially for regarding the financial sides, the marketing sides, and etc.
So look, I don't know if NOIZD is going to change the music industry. I hope that it begins to start a new mindset for the music industry, where the music industry like slowly starts to shift in kind of more the benefiting the creator. But I think that in and of itself, the music industry is a very, very big kind of like gigantic monolith that isn't really going to be able to be changed from like day to day. But I do feel that platforms like NOIZD, we offer like multiple benefits, right? And there's multiple like kind of further benefits that aren't necessarily only kind of like financial. I mean, of the financial stuff we've already spoken about, artists can basically say what they're worth, and if you believe in that artist, you can purchase that artist's music, and then you also have the rights to that music, right? Now that leads into further kind of benefits that are not financial, being if you're an artist and you suck at marketing, which a lot of artists do, they put all their energy into making cool music, but they're really, really garbage at marketing themselves, which is fine. I mean, that's something that's expected, right? If you're putting all your effort into making really cool music, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have the marketing education to be able to put that music out. So on a platform like NOIZD, let's say, as I said before, I buy the rights to an artist. That basically means I want the artist to become as famous as possible. So I ask my friends to, follow this artist. Let's say I've got connections to the music industry. So as I said, I did a bunch of stuff with MTV Africa and a few others. So let's say I buy an artist's rights. I can then tell MTV, hey, put this artist on the next kind of like indie slot, from 8 to 9 or whatever, and pump this artist and whatever, because I want that artist to become more and more famous, right? Now the artist sucks at marketing, but I'm really good at marketing. So now I'm helping the artist become more and more famous, right? So that's on the one side. But on the other side, there's also other benefits, right? Not necessarily for listeners, but for entire industries. So let's say, and what generally happens, or what happens really often, is you'll have one artist who makes a really cool track and it absolutely explodes on SoundCloud and on YouTube. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with OG Macro. He made a track in 2014 or so. That track, like, how does it go? Like, bitch, you get it. And then, I'm a mother, blah, blah, blah. In any case, he got like hundreds of millions of views on YouTube. He got this multi-million-dollar contract, and the guy sucks, right? He's never released a good track since that track. And so for NOIZD, what's beneficial to a label is a label can essentially buy one track and test that track for $10,000-$20,000 without having to give $1 million contract or whatever to an artist, because maybe that artist just really sucks, right? So then, and if that artist is really good, the label will make a lot of money, and then it's in the label's interest to basically do whatever they can to sign that artist. So the artist probably isn't going to get a bad deal, 98%, like giving away 98% royalties to the label, but the label will probably have to settle for something like 10%, right? Now the label's actually trying to help make the artist famous. So that's on that side of things. But then when it comes to other industries like gaming, so for example, Rockstar, they spent quite a few million buying the rights for the music in the car of GTA 5. And basically, this would allow an indie game developer or even a game developer like Rockstar to buy up music for a couple 100,000, maybe $1 million, for like 30, 40 songs for GTA, instead of having to spend like 100 million on licensing of other songs, right? So there's also benefits for like the gaming industry. And then there's, that kind of moves into the film industry. If you want to buy music for your film, if you want to, in the advertising industry, if you want like music for your advert, you're able to get essentially cheap music. Although yes, you could be paying $10,000, $20,000, whatever dollars. That's still a lot cheaper than 100,000, 200,000, $1 million, 2 million, etc., right? So basically, with NOIZD, it's not only beneficial to the artist side, it's also to the industry side. And if you're putting a track of an unknown artist, in an advert, that's basically going to have an after effect of helping the artist. But then on the general consumer side of things, it's really quite similar. I guess like the best analogy would be, like imagine owning a Kanye West track in 2006, before Kanye West was famous, right? And no one's ever heard that track. Now it's 2021, and you have that track, and you own the rights to it. You can basically take that track to... There's multiple multi-millionaires and billionaires who would want to own that track, right? So that, as a consumer, we've got a really kind of cool benefit, and everybody thinks that they have the best ear for music. Like everybody, like for me, for example, I think that I can identify better music than anybody else, right? And everybody thinks that about themselves, and that's like a natural thing. If you really do have a good ear for music, this is like the perfect place to test it, because you can buy something, and if you really have got a good ear for music, then that artist could probably explode at a stage, and you own something that's really valuable. So I think that NOIZD is super beneficial on the artist side, on the general kind of non-traditional industry side, and then also on the consumer side. And that it's not only kind of about financial gain, immediate financial gain, it's also about kind of like further marketing, passive marketing for yourself, just generally like general help in passively growing yourself as an artist. So yeah, I see multiple benefits for collectors, for fans, for followers, and for a big industry. And that's why I think that maybe we'll begin to create a shift within the general music industry that allows artists more kind of decentralized freedom, as opposed to these big kind of central like licensing houses and whatever dictating what the artist can get, and basically saying, well, you either sign a deal or just stay nobody living in a favela somewhere. That's probably,
Yep. So it's interesting. So if I can get a grasp on it, so basically the system is like you buy the music as an NFT, and you can be some sort of an intermediary with the with the gaming industry or the music industry and etc. Right? So.
Yes and no. So like you buy a track. So let's just talk about the Noise launch first. So for our launch, all of the artists are selling the rights to their music. That's not always going to be the case. Eventually, artists are going to just be selling straight collectibles. Either way, all the music is unreleased, right? So as a buyer, you're not necessarily being an intermediary. You can be whatever, right? You're basically buying a song, and if you buy the rights, that song becomes yours, as though you were the person who wrote it, you were the person who created it, and you can do whatever you want with that song. You can never show it to anyone. You can sell it to a label. You can be a label buying it and use it, or you can just like keep it forever and play it freely. Or you can be a DJ and remix it. You can even be a streamer and have it playing in the background without YouTube taking it down. So it's not necessarily that you are an intermediary. If you want to be an intermediary, then yeah, sure. But you could also just be, some young person who wants to start their own record label but doesn't know any artists. So instead you just buy up a bunch of songs and then suddenly you're your own record label, right? So you essentially can be whatever you want. You don't necessarily have to be an intermediary. Yeah, you could also just be a passive investor, a holder, a collector, a fan, or whatever, really.
I heard the type of that kind of model business for label like proximity, majestic, casual, selected. If you ever heard like they just searching random songs from a SoundCloud, and then they make it license to become their own label at sort to helping the small musician, especially like in EDM and like the hip hop space. I heard that they use the kind of method to lifting the music. So for what I get it, for what you speak before, like I think NFT help this kind of exposure for the small artists, like to make their license well protected, but in sometimes is make your music where more mobile to use by other stuff, like people can use your music easier, and the license still intact. Is it true?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
if that answers the question.
Okay. Okay.
So
And all.
sorry. So speaking of the marketing, I know you are expert in marketing, as you said in your background in the beginning. So do you believe like art of your music will market itself to the people? Like some artists believe their art, their music, if their art and music have a meaning, have a message, have a sort of like scenery, when people feel the vibe on it, people will talk to others by itself, like, oh, this song is banger, man, well, he's so underrated, and so on and so on. Do you believe sort of thing? Because some artists like lazy to marketing themselves, so they think, oh, just share it to my friend and hope my friend talk about it and become like a mouth to mouth marketing sort of. Yeah, what do you think?
So, yeah, I think that's personally a silly thing to do. I think if you're an artist and you want to be like something, that you should probably do your best. And I think that, yeah, there are a lot of artists that are lazy, but I mean, you really like, there's a certain time and place where you can be lazy. And it's like, if you're not, if nobody knows who you are, that's probably not the right time or place to be lazy. And you shouldn't just be like you should be doing everything possible to make people know who you are. And, whether that's, kind of going on Bandcamp, or if it's paying for social media ads, or, using platforms like NOIZD, or, paying for press releases about you, like
Mhm.
selling your music to DJs or giving it to DJs to remix or going and begging at radio stations for them to play it. I think that's
Mhm.
probably what you should be doing. And I think that that's what you will do if you really care about your like craft. But yeah, there's a lot of lazy artists, and I guess I'm not going to say what is right and what is wrong when it comes to marketing yourself, just because I believe in artists choosing what they want to do. Once again, from like a decentral kind of point of view. But yeah, I guess probably that's not the best way to go about doing things from my point of view, at least.
Okay, and as Imam says, there are many artists right now which decides to focus more on on the artistry side more than the marketing side, and sometimes they need help. Sometimes they need help not just because they want to focus more on the artistry side, but they also don't know really how to market itself. So I find it's interesting that I go to NOIZD website on the other day, and I find a feature of yours called NOIZD Remix, and I think that can be some sort of answer or marketing for these people. Maybe if you can share to us a little bit about the concept of NOIZD Remix, maybe it will be better.
Yeah, sure. So I guess it's pretty pertinent to point out that the remix feature isn't going to be part of the launch. But essentially, why? So I guess let's first talk about what the remix feature is. So the NOIZD remix feature is basically a syndication feature, and it allows us to be like TuneCore or like DistroKid or like Ditto, whereby we take music and we put it on all streaming platforms, right? And then on NOIZD, we pay out the royalties directly to the user, 100% of whatever those royalties are, directly to the person who gave us the NFT. And we do that on NOIZD. So we just make the entire process for musicians a lot easier. So that's kind of what the feature is. But the reason we created the feature was because a lot of people want to get into the NFT space. I'm talking like about collectors. And they don't really understand why, why people are. So they're looking at it from the outside point of view, where they're seeing all of these digital art marketplaces, and they're like, everyone's talking about this art stuff, and I want to somehow be involved with NFTs, but I'm not going to spend a lot of money on art because I don't know how I'm going to make my money back. Right? So the idea here is that if you want to get into the NFT space, but you're a little bit cautious because you don't know if you can make money back, on NOIZD you can buy an NFT and you can use our remix feature as a collector. Now you can use it, and we will put that on the streaming platforms for you. And now if you want to make money, all you need to do is get people to listen to the song, right? And the song is on Spotify, Audios, it's everywhere else. So that essentially is what the NOIZD remix feature is. It's like TuneCore or DistroKid. And the reason it was developed was to allow NFTs to become more mainstream and more utilized by the mainstream. So allowing passive collectors to get in, to buy an NFT, and to passively make money for themselves, as opposed to spending $5,000 on like a cool image and not knowing what to do with that afterwards. So that's the remix feature. That's why we created it. We hope that it has like quite a big effect within the music side of things as well.
Okay, so I understand that it is still brewing, so it's not going to be part of the launch, but added later, right? The NOIZD remix feature. But I'm just curious because essentially this feature will provide distribution, right, for the song that is being converted into NFT, right? So how will the NOIZD platform will handle the copyrights and everything, because that will be shifting between to different world, right? Or to different sites, the conventional sites and the NFT sites.
Yeah. So I guess what do you mean by handling the copyrights?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So basically, one of the main
I
one
think
of the
like
concerns that people, yeah.
what Alicia means like bridging the conventional between the conventional way of copywriting with a lot of license and legal stuff to like the NFT copyright licensing. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of way to explain the question.
So yeah, like it's like we're basically going to do it the same way that Shoot and Core and DistroKid and everybody does it. We like someone submits it to us. That's the owner of it. They provide us the documentation that they own it, and we just put it on the streaming platforms and collect the money for them. And it's not really that kind of. There's not much to it other than doing that, really.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, as long as the documentation is provided that they're the owner, and that's also cool about NFTs is that if they own the NFT, we can see digitally on their digital signature whether or not they are the owner. And yeah, I guess that's kind of the way for like it's easier with other NFT streaming platforms like Audius and some of the others.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now I understand a little bit more about the noise remix feature. Thank you very much. And Noise has, to my understanding, Noise has engaged also as an NFT music platform, has engaged also with a lot of artists all across the African continents, right? You
Yeah.
already have some sort of featured artists available, which will occupy the space in the Noise platform. So, can you tell us a little bit about your experience, talking about the NFT and the Noise platforms with them, and how was their reaction?
You mean like the reaction from
Yeah.
the artists?
Yeah, from the artists. If you have any
So
memorable experiences with that.
yeah, so it's always kind of like tough to, I guess. So one of the big problems that we have is onboarding actual artists, getting them to actually understand what exactly an NFT is, and then what digital distribution means, and then why they should be selling their rights as opposed to just selling straight collectibles. So the reactions from artists have always been, I don't really understand this, but then once being kind of taken through everything and explained everything, it becomes a lot more clear, and then there's a lot of like excitement around that because suddenly they're able to make more money off of one song than they could off of entire albums. And a lot of the artists that are already featuring, like one guy got offered the equivalent of 3 to be part of like the other song Bork. And that guy, the most money he's ever made from music is like $150, and suddenly he was offered like $12,000 for one song. So that's quite a big, that's there's a lot of excitement, when you start hearing those stories and stuff. But as I said, one of the biggest problems is kind of like onboarding actual artists.
I wanna ask thing like how was your journey to educate artists across African continent about the NFT music itself? Like we curious since like we actually we don't expect like or like in South Africa they really more developed about understanding of NFT music as and sort. So can you please tell the story?
What do you mean exactly? Can you
Like
rephrase the question?
like the story of like your journey to make to help people understand about NFT music in African continent. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been quite a journey to basically getting them to really understand that. So, like as I mentioned before, I have a digital distribution channel called Panda TV. Panda means hustle in Zulu, and basically I had a lot of connections through a lot of musicians, and so yeah, the journey was a long and tedious one. But because I already had those connections, it made it a lot easier. And right now, we have some great artists that are on the platform. We had like 150 to 200 submissions of tracks to take part in the launch. We've chosen 60. And I guess that just goes to show that, the taking that journey to explaining everything and taking the time in the beginning really paid off, because now that's kind of just become like a snowball effect where I no longer have to be on that journey. Artists are now encouraging their friends to get on the platform. And just for like a bit of background, launching with 60 tracks and having over 200 provided, that's a lot compared to a lot of other platforms. That's like really a lot. So some other platforms are launching with 10, 5, 10, 12. So yeah, I guess it's been a long and it's been a tough journey, specifically kind of trying to explain it within those kind of circles. But everything's working out pretty well.
Okay. Nice. So maybe we will start to open some session for people here. We have not PA2 and has here. If you have any question, please ask us right away. Okay. Okay. Maybe they still need some time for asking questions. But anyway, with NOIZD, what kind of image about the music NFT scene that you want to realize? What sort of idealism that you want to achieve with this platform with NOIZD?
What do you mean by that? Like what are we? So I guess with so I guess I understand. So basically, with NOIZD, what we're trying to achieve is to, I guess, just help artists really become something special, to really break out of out of the system, to kind of, I guess that we're just trying to help, right? I mean, we're not taking any commissions. We don't take any commissions. We don't really take any money from artists and stuff. We're just really trying to provide a really cool and funky platform that's able to really create a new community that supports one another. And I guess that's the vision of NOIZD. And we hope that kind of new take on things is going to really provide the idea of decentralization to a lot of artists and really allow them to, I guess, benefit from their music, right? To the biggest extent possible. That's pretty much the vision. I mean, and to be honest with you, that's a really big vision. That's like, when Tidal said that they wanted to be like the new Spotify, it's like, it's a very big vision, but we hope that it's possible. Yeah, Bandcamp did some great stuff. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Bandcamp, but we're hoping to be the next kind of, Bandcamp on Web3, basically. We're like the next step up, and now social media allows more interconnectivity with communities more than ever. So we hope that that interconnectivity will allow NOIZD to really spread like wildfire, and I guess one step at a time, right? That's yeah, that's the vision.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's a great vision. Anyway, I want to ask thing like how to track the royalty system in NOIZD.
What do you mean by that? Like the streaming royalty?
Yeah, the streaming payment sort, how to track that in NOIZD.
You mean like from the remix feature, or from which feature are you talking about?
In overall.
So okay, so I guess when it comes to like at auctions, there aren't really royalties. You're just selling the track, and the buyer is paying directly into your wallet. So there's no real need for tracking. Like, we don't take any money; it goes directly into your wallet. And if you're using the remix feature, you can just look into Spotify or whatever. You can go to your artist page and look how much money you've made, and then NOIZD pays all that money out, and you can see, okay, well, if NOIZD, Spotify says I made like $100 from that stream, and NOIZD gives me $100, then that's how much money I made. So it's not like we're not doing anything like super special or like technical to do that. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Because
Okay.
there is a guy, a friend that I talk about noise also. He's a beat maker also. That he asks like, because he thinks like noise maybe like a future of Spotify, but in blockchain ecosystem, in NFT ecosystem. So he thinks maybe the tracking system for the reality, the payments and such might be different than Spotify. So I just help him to ask the question that and now he cannot attend the live stream today. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no worries. I guess like if anybody has questions, I mean, I'll always just answer them on, like, in the YouTube comments. You guys can just kind of hit me up and tell me these questions, and I can drop some answers. That's not a problem.
Okay.
And one thing, what do you think about Kanye West listening party to share his music progression to his fans?
I know you will
Um,
ask about this.
Yeah, so I'm not really a fan of Kanye, to be honest. Like, I like Kanye, like his first 3 albums. I think that those are some of the best albums that were ever created. I guess I like kind of, yeah, I like Kanye's first 3 albums. So like after his listening parties and like, I mean, yeah, whatever, basically. Why? Like, what are your thoughts?
I mean, like in the marketing perspective, since I think you're kind of expert to have a point of view of this.
Yeah, so I guess Kanye is probably one of the best marketers in the world, right? But I think like what he does to get people to interact with his music is incredibly smart. I don't necessarily agree with all of it. You know, like that whole taking the mic away from Taylor Swift and stuff when he did that back in the day, like that was a pretty not great thing to be doing, but it really helped his name become more and more spread. And I think that Kanye is a genius when it comes to marketing. When it comes to music, I think that is, like, I mean, you guys have seen my comments in the NOIZD Telegram group. It's like, you know, I have very kind of
Yeah, I know.
stringent opinions.
I know you are kind of a Drake guy, sort of. Yeah, since like
Yeah,
I saw in the Telegram.
Yeah, like, I mean, as I said, you know, when it comes to people like Kanye, like his first albums, in my opinion, the first 3 were probably some of the best albums that he's ever done. Oh no, sorry, some of the best albums that have ever been done. College Dropout was amazing. Graduation was incredible. I mean, Jesus Walks is probably one of the coolest songs that I've heard. It has the lyrics are incredible. I mean, there's that one track where it was like something. I bought my, like, I'm Louis Vuitton Don. I bought my mom a purse. Now she's Louis Vuitton mom. I mean, that's like, that's an incredible verse, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he's a genius of marketing, but I also think he's not. Yeah, he's not the greatest.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we actually have a question from NotPA2. So he's curious about the trend of music in the African continent in general. How do you view the trends of music industry in the African continent right now?
So I think that the biggest music is Afro pop, Afro beats. I think that's probably some of the best music out there at the moment. Each country has its own type of music that trends within that country. So in South Africa, you know, there's like Kwaito, there's like Motswako type of hip hop. In Botswana, there's a lot of trap. There's a lot of like Motswako hip hop as well. Zimbabwe is very focused on Zim dance hall. But I think that the music generally coming from Africa to the wider public is Afro pop and Afro beats. I think with artists like Burna Boy, like Davido, like those type of guys coming more and more, I think that it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And yeah, that's like the trending stuff, and it's incredible, really. For like, I mean, once again, it's my opinion, but yeah.
But how big hip hop there? How big is hip hop there?
Huge, to be honest. Like really huge. But yeah, I mean, it's really, really huge. It's probably bigger than any other genre. But as I said, each country has its own particular genres for like that is very locally consumed. But I mean, hip hop's like huge. Like everybody listens to hip hop, but it's not necessarily the number one genre in every country. But it is, yeah. I mean, it's huge. Yeah.
I see.
Do you know the grandfather of Deep House in South Africa? I heard like Deep House origin came from there, and me myself made a bunch of Deep House, Future House stuff. So, what do you think of this?
Yeah, like I mean, so like that kind of evolved from Kwaito House, and the guys like the original Kwaito House guys, like Black Coffee, DJ Mujava, all of that. I mean, that's like, I mean, as I said, I'm South African. That's like very inherent to us. That's some of the best stuff. Like DJ Spoo, all of them, DJ Cleo, all of those guys. It's like, I mean, those are like the godfathers of deep house. From my perspective, people all of those. Yeah.
And here's
Nice. We personally see that African artist is getting more prominent and getting more traction right now. And because of that we think that the African artist will be one of the next big things in the music industry globally.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I don't know in globally, but in Indonesia at least, the or TikTok is basically there are some of the African music that really clicks into the TikTok in Indonesia.
Yeah.
One of the example is like CK's Loved One TT, and that's like really really big in TikTok Indonesia. So I think like, wow, okay, so I think that the African continent really holds great potential for
Yeah,
the music
I think so,
industry.
uh,
Yep.
Yeah.
And maybe before we're closing our session today, last question: if you have a chance to bring a very underrated music artist to join Noise, who would you bring and why? As a
Tough
scenario.
question. For me, I guess a guy called Chaka from Zimbabwe, who's unnoised already. He's incredible. But probably like Goldie Links from the UK, or maybe like Dacha Valley from the UK. They're great. Yeah, some amazing guys, to be honest.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So that concludes our episode of SKUY today. So thank you very much, Jay, for your insights and your perspectives on
Thank you for
noise
having me.
and also on the NFT and music industry. And also thank you everyone for joining the podcast. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so on SEKUD Labs, SEKUD space LABS, and click the notification button so you can be notified when we have new videos coming right up. And if you are curious about Jay's music NFT platform NOIZD, please head over to noizd.com, NOIZD. Okay, so that's it. So we're signing off. SEKUD SKUY, let's go. Thank you very much, all.
Putting on the track.